Much like what I had said in my previous video, the centerpiece to every single Five Nights at Freddy's game is easily going to be the jump scare. Again, why wouldn't they be? They're the main thing that you try to avoid at absolutely all costs. And like I said, not every single jump scare is the same as the last one. Some are pretty mid and some are just flat out horrible, but there are some that are really, really good. It's like, you know what, even though I just lost it, even though I literally just got scared to death, that actually wasn't a very bad jump scare. That was actually really good, you know? So that's what we're going to be looking into. The last video I tackled on, I did jump scares from each FNAF game individually, and I decided that in this video I was going to be ranking some from worst to best, but in this case it was going to be with individual characters and their jump scares. Like I said, some of that are going to be featured in this video are going to be flat out boring and terrible, and some are going to be, well, either a classic or actually really good. So without further ado and stop wasting time, let's jump right on into it. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to start off with the worst, and the best will be all the way at the end. And easily the very worst jump scare I think in the entire Five Nights at Freddy's franchise is easily going to be Springtrap's jump scare. I'm sorry, but it's just something about this jump scare that just doesn't do it for me. And maybe it's the fact that he's just so, like, ugly and hideous and doesn't even remotely look anything like a previous animatronic in any of the previous games, or hell, any of the other games following this one. It's just not even a remotely scary animatronic. Whenever you look at it, you look at him and it's literally like you found in a garbage pile, which he pretty much was, if we're being honest with each other. And then what's even worse is his jump scare. He has two jump scares. One of them is from the left side. He's either going to stare at you from the door, or he's going to end up coming up whenever you look at your control panel, and then he's going to come out on the right side, and he literally runs across the screen when he gets to the right side. Both these jump scares, the execution, absolutely horrible. Literally, check this out. He literally just pops up in your face. Like, there's no jumping at you, there's no diving for you, there's no running towards you. It's literally just him popping up. It really looks like he's about to ask you where the bathroom's at, or hey, have you had the pizza around here, bro? Like, is that even supposed to be scary? And like I said in the last video, what's even worse is the horrible, horrible jump scare sound that just sounds like a demon that is choking on peanuts. Seriously, it sounds horrible. Now, easily, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is one of the, if not the worst game in the FNAF franchise. There's no denying that, and there's no hiding that. And what makes it even worse is the characters and even the main antagonist. Horrible, horrible jump scare. I have wasted so much time talking about this in previous videos and now even on this one, so I'm not even going to be giving Five Nights at Freddy's 3 any more attention. Let's just move on to the next jump scare. Now, there are actually two different jump scares from the original one that I'm going to be tackling on that are actually very, very bad. Number one being Foxy's jump scare. I'm sorry, but Foxy's jump scare in the original just isn't doing it for me, considering the fact that you have three amazing jump scares and Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, and then you mix it together with Foxy's plain old just popping his head in your door. It's just not doing it for me. That's just honestly really terrible. It's not even scary, you know? At least whenever Freddy comes in the room, it's unexpected and the camera's shaking. Whenever Bonnie and Chica come in your room, the second you put the camera down, boo, there they are. They're there to kill you, and everything's shaking and all that. Imagine just like you hear really loud, freaking, horrifying, blood-curdling screams followed by the cameras just shaking. Yeah, it's terrifying. Now imagine that, but the jump scare scares you because of the scream, but instead of him jumping at you, he just pokes his head in the door like, hey bro, you need some pizza later? Like, what time you get off? 6? Okay, cool, bro. It's really just not, it's not scary, you know? And I know that was like one of the scariest jump scares Markiplier's ever encountered because it was his first one, but if you look at the rest of them, especially in the franchise, it's so lackluster of any type of execution and fear, and that's a problem. You know, especially whenever you're playing this game, you expect these animatronic characters to be doing something at you, and I feel like it could have been a little bit different, you know, but that's not the only one that's really bad in this one. This next one I'm going to talk about necessarily isn't a jump scare, but we can call it that because once you see it, if you don't turn away from it, it'll do it, and that's Golden Freddy's jump scare. This one is very rare. It's, Golden Freddy is pretty rare to be found in the original Five Nights at Freddy's game. Whenever he does, you're going to see him in one of the cameras, like on a poster. When you take the camera down, you're going to see him in your office, and if you stare at him for too long, the Golden Freddy face is going to pop up along with this sound. Yeah, it ends up crashing your game too in the end. So it really sucks whenever this happens, honestly. And it's aggravating, It really is aggravating seeing that, and it's pretty shitty, honestly. You're sitting there and expecting to get jump scared, and he really doesn't come at you, but we're gonna consider it a jump scare because it could kill you in the end because you gotta restart. So we're gonna count that on there as that, one of the worst ones. And shit, while we're on the topic of Golden Freddy, let's jump to the next Golden Freddy kill, which is in the second Five Nights at Freddy's. This one is just as bad as the original. Whenever you want to achieve seeing him in this one, you go look at the cameras. The second you put it down, he's going to appear in your office. If you don't put the mask on in time, he jump scares you, except this time it's just his face just floating towards you. It's compared to the other animatronics that jump at you or just hit you or whatever the case may be. His is just a floating head that points towards you. It honestly feels like the Batman logo that flies in between you in between scenes. While Golden Freddy is definitely an infamous character for his lore in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, the jump scares is not quite as much, and honestly, they're pretty lame. Now, that'll pretty much do it for the worst jump scares. We're going to kind of jump into the mid jump scares, some that are definitely not the worst, but definitely not the best either. And I think one of the best examples of that is going to be the Phantom animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Now, there are several different ones that will jump scare you. It's Foxy, it's Freddy, it's Chica. These guys will come at you, but the part that really makes it not so terrible is the fact that it doesn't kill you. If anything, it adds more difficulty to the night, and you take that as you will, but I feel like it's really that's it. They're just a really interesting one because they don't kill you, but at the same time, like I said, they make it more difficult. So it's like, okay, this is scary, but now I gotta bounce back and do that. Now, like, there's two different sides to that. You could sit there and say that's horrible that this is happening, but you can also look at it like, okay, this is honestly kind of cool. It's relieving that they're not killing me, and then I do get to continue on throughout this night. It really isn't that bad of a feeling. It depends. I think it's decent. I think it adds on more pain to the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 game than it already brings you on its own. But honestly, their jump scares aren't that bad. They're kind of poorly designed, but they really do come out of nowhere, and believe me, they execute a hell of a lot more better than Springtrap does. And like I said, those really fall to the mid category. They're definitely not the worst, but they're also pretty far from the best, and really that really is pretty much it for the mid jump scares. I could go on about Sister Location, but they're kind of mid, they're kind of not mid, Sister Location is pretty much whatever, and I could make a whole separate video about that if you guys would like. Leave a comment down below if you would like me to dive on to Sister Location, just as the game as a whole. But their jump scares are kind of in the same category, but they're really just not worth the attention. Now that we're pretty much done with the worst and even the mid, let's jump into some of the best jump scares. So when it comes to identifying what is the best jump scare, in my opinion, you have to do exactly what the opposite of what the worst ones did, and that has absolute fear and really good execution. And I think a good example of this one is going to be Foxy's jump scare in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. If anything, I think Scott Cawthon learned from his mistakes in the first one with his poorly executed jump scare and added to this one where he's literally diving right at you if you don't use that flashlight enough, or hell, just don't show him enough attention. And it's one that will absolutely catch you off guard, because if you aren't paying attention to Foxy enough, he's literally going to come at you and he's just going to jump at you when you least expect it and doesn't even give you a warning. I think that's one of the scariest jump scares in each FNAF game, are the ones that don't give you a warning, like the Phantom animatronics, Foxy in the second one, and Freddy in the original. They don't give you a warning, and it's absolutely terrifying having no idea. At least with the other ones, and especially in the second game, you can put the mask on, they're going to pop up in your office, Foxy doesn't do that, and you could be shining the flashlight at him as much as you want, but if the game feels like you're not paying enough attention to him, it's gonna kill you, and that's terrifying. And while we're on the topic of jump scares coming out of nowhere, it leads me on to another one of my favorite jump scares, and that's Freddy in the original Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, this one is absolutely terrifying because Freddy is one of the more haunting characters in the original one. Literally, he only stays in the shadows on the cameras, and his every movement is accompanied by his terrifying laugh. And unlike Bonnie and Chica, he doesn't appear in your door. He literally just comes in your office if you're not paying close attention to him in the cameras. That's terrifying. Seriously, what is more scary than knowing that you have absolutely no idea if this man's about to come into your office or not? Literally nothing. And then the fact that a blood-curdling scream is going to follow him popping up in your office, that's just terrifying. It is absolutely scary, and the fact that he pops up on the right side, literally just emerges out of nowhere, shakes the camera, and you can just tell he's literally just like, I don't even know what he's doing as a security guard, but you just know it's painful. It is definitely going to go down as one of my more favorites of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. But ladies and gentlemen, we have waited for this point. I'm about to reveal to you my absolute favorite jump scare in Five Nights at Freddy's. And that is easily going to be Bonnie's jump scare in the original Five Nights at Freddy's. Something about this one is just absolutely amazing to me. First of all, Bonnie is such an underrated character in the Five Nights at Freddy's universe. I literally love Bonnie to death. He is one of my, if not my favorite character in Five Nights at Freddy's, and his jump scare is just god tier. First of all, brownie points for original. It's like one of the first jump scares anybody's ever witnessed. Personally, my first time playing Five Nights at Freddy's, he was the first jump scare I ever encountered. And something about his is just absolutely beautiful whenever you put the camera down and he's literally just biting at the screen. Okay, obviously the jump scare sound in the first one is just amazing and it's god tier. But whenever you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna add that on with Bonnie just biting at you, and he's already unintentionally terrifying as it is, there's just something about him. He looks so innocent, but at the same time, he doesn't. Bonnie is a terrifying character, and his camera movements are just as terrifying as Freddy's is. Whenever you see him at the end of the hallway, but all you see is a shadow, when you see him in the supply closet, and he's just staring at you, literally everything about Bonnie is absolutely terrifying, and it is absolutely accompanied by his traumatic, amazing jump scare, and that is, in my opinion, the absolute best jump scare in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash that like button. Go ahead and comment down below what is your favorite jump scare and your least favorite jump scare. And guys, don't be afraid to voice your opinions in the comment section. I absolutely love encountering all you guys and talking with you guys. Seriously, I love hearing y'all's opinions, and I love the fact that y'all are endorsing my opinions and coming up with your own. That absolutely warms my heart. I love talking to you guys so much. If you guys also enjoyed my content, make sure to smash that subscribe button, people. I love you guys so much, and I will see y'all in the next one.